So, hello everyone, and welcome to this TPOT. What if? What if it was for to eliminate, just like in BFB pre-split, BFDIA, BFDI, or yada yada. So yeah, let's begin. At first, obviously, winner and price tag still join, as I don't think that they do the vote to who you not want to win thing, and they just make it like it was, and yeah, they're still both winning. And since nothing has changed yet, everything just remains the same, and Death Pact still loses. I think that it's pretty obvious that Remote, Lightning, Tree, and then Marker would all be safe, as even though they haven't really got much screen time, they're kind of liked, so they're obviously going to be safe. Now we find ourselves in the bottom three. Black Hole is here because he practically made their team lose the challenge, and he was a bit annoying this episode. Fanny is here because, well, her whole BFB, I hate everything's that part, even with Bubbles Arc and stuff, she's still not that very liked. And Pi is here because she's Pi. She practically has little to no fans and is obviously going to be here. Well, Black Hole is safe for obvious reasons. He's by far the most popular one left. And now we're in the bottom two. I think it's pretty obvious. Pi is out. It wouldn't even be close. Fanny at least has some fans, shown from how she wasn't even in the bottom two in Teapot 2. But Pi just people find her really boring. And since she was in the bottom two in BFB4 and she's barely done anything since then, it's pretty obvious she's eliminated. As for now, Teardrop still joins. As for the episode itself, I don't think anything would change. After all, Pi was the one who was originally eliminated this episode, so the strongest team on Earth is still up. I think it's pretty obvious that Grassy would be the first one safe here, as he's the one with by far the least haters on the team. Next one safe would obviously be Bell, then Snowball. While they might have a few haters, they're clearly pretty liked considering how they won the first three safe for the original episode. So yeah, it's quite obvious that they're not eliminated. Now, with a significant increase in votes, Basketball is definitely safe. While she did get into the Eggy and drama, she's definitely pretty well liked, and she does have her thing with Robot Flower, so she's definitely safe. Now we're down to the bottom three. Robot Flower is here because even though she wasn't really that hated, she's a non-object, and non-objects always are in the bottom three, whether they like it or not. Eggy is here because she's, well, really hated, and Foley for still the BFB11 thing, and she hasn't really done anything interesting, so yeah. Robot Flower is obviously safe. And now we're in the bottom two. Well, it could be a bit close, I'm sorry, but Egg is definitely safe. Foley had little to no fans, and a lot of people really hated her, so I don't think it'd be quite surprising that she's eliminated. So, bye, Foley. So, yet again, nothing has changed. Foley was also eliminated in the original episode, so teammates and the S are still up for elimination. Let's begin with teammates. Coiny, Barfbag, Needle, and then Katie are all probably safe, as they don't have exactly many haters. This leaves us with the bottom three. Donut is here not because he's like exactly hated, but compared to the four that I've mentioned earlier, he usually gets a tiny bit more votes than them, so that's why he's here. Pin had a huge wave of haters from the whole cheating thing in Teapot 2, and Saw's 8 gag just got kinda stale. Donut would most likely be safe here nevertheless. This leaves it down to Pin and Saw, and while this could be close, there's no way that Saw is surviving this. Considering how Pin got the most votes that episode, it's quite clear that she's still pretty liked. Now let's go with the S. Cloudy, Ice Cube, and Bottle are definitely the first one safe. Well, Ice Cube and Bottle may have a few haters, especially Ice Cube for using the only recycled lines. The other four ones are definitely more disliked or have gotten enough negative attention to be there. Next one safe is Rocky. While he did start getting more haters during this time, he's definitely not that disliked as of now and is certainly safe. This leaves it down to the bottom three: Winner, Yellowface, and Clock. Winners here not because they're exactly hated, but it mostly boils down to just being unlucky. They're a non-object, which immediately puts them in the bottom three, and Clock fans may vote for them, and people who are mad that they debuted over other people like what non-existing are also probably mad and vote for them. Yellowface is here because he's a non-object, but also because he's seen as a bit annoying, and Clock for practically making his team lose and practically harassing Winner sometimes. But it's pretty obvious Winner is safe, and it's not even close. This leaves it to the bottom two, and yeah, I think it's pretty obvious. Clock is out. The majority of the audience, especially the children watching, would not like him for what he did and would mass vote him. So, yeah. Well, in this episode, since Clock is out, there's a very slight change. Clock did not let Ice Cube go to space. However, since Winner's here, they would let Ice Cube, and also Cloudy since he's made of water, in space, meaning that they would sublimate in a vacuum and die. Regardless, this makes Puffball unable to threaten Deathpack to kill their funny plant, even though she could have just eaten the plant, but whatever. Let's just say that she's not that smart and just comes back defeated, lightning zaps her for being rude, and so Just Not is still up for elimination, but who's the team that will be up for elimination since Deathpact again is safe? Well, the next team shown to have their funny plan die in the montage is the strongest team on Earth, so we'll go with that. They're up for elimination as well. Let's begin with Just Not. Bommy, then Price Tag, and finally Nickel didn't really do anything wrong, so I think that they would be safe pretty comfortably. Then next safe would probably be Book, even if some people find her boring and she still has a few haters from the taco thing. I think that she's most likely safe. This leaves it down to her bottom three: Don Don. Pillow is here because of her murdering attitudes. Neil is here because she's mainly just boring and annoying. And Capel, not very hated, caused his entire team to lose. This may be a bit of a hot take, but Pillow didn't really have that many haters before TPOT 9. She was more just a bit controversial, and she's also pretty much the face of the team. So I think that even if it's a bit close, she's definitely safe. This leaves it down to Neely and Cake. These two characters had barely anything to do in Teapot, so they're both extremely boring. However, since Cake caused his team to lose, I think that even if it's extremely close, he's out. So sorry to the 6,000 to 7,000 Cake fans, but he's out. Now, with the strongest team on Earth, Grassy, Bell, and Basketball are both pretty liked, so I highly doubt they're in danger. And this is the bottom three. Snowball's here for just burning Grassy. That would not get him many positive views. Robot Flower is here for just being a non-object, and Eggy's here because of her rude personality and her unfair amount of hate. Anyway, Robot Flower is obviously safe. This leaves it to Snowball and Eggy. While it could be a bit close, Snowball is definitely safe. Eggy just had an insane amount of haters in early Teapot, and there's no way that she'd be surviving this. I highly doubt anything would change much for this episode while Cake was the one who suggested the idea of defying gravity to just nod, I think that they could just be saved by some stupid thing that Pillow or Bommy or Neely would come up with. And yeah, the strongest team on Earth and Are You Okay would also be safe. However, I think that since the writers put so many references with Cloudy, I think that they'd actually give something to him. I think that the best idea that they would have is probably start a friendship with him with Yellowface over the fact that he misses Balloony, and since Yellowface sells items and Cloudy likes to buy them, they could bond over that and talk about their struggles with money and all that stuff. So yeah. I personally think this elimination is pretty straightforward, at least definitely much more than Are You OK's. Grassy and then Basketball are definitely safe as they're by far the most liked characters there. Then Belle, even if some people may find her a bit annoying, she's definitely safe as she doesn't have many haters per se. This leads it down to Snowball and Robot Flower. Snowball isn't exactly hated, but I think that compared to the others, he just happens to receive more votes in average. And Robot Flower, along with being a non-object, practically caused her team to lose by blowing up the entire fish monster robot. And considering how in BFDI she was in the bottom 3 by a big difference, just because of the bomb thing, and she was already in the bottom 3, and considering how she purposefully killed her team, yeah, she's not surviving this. As much as I love Robot Flower, there's no way she's making it past this. Now for Are You OK's one. I kind of dreaded this one because all 7 of the characters were pretty well liked. And yeah, considering how early TPOT was, this would be an insanely close vote battle. Yeah, definitely. So let's begin. Penn, even if he got caught up in the golf ball and tennis ball thing, he's definitely popular enough to be the first one safe. Followed by Eraser. People thought he was cool, so I don't think that he'd be getting that many votes either. This is a bit controversial, but I think Tennis Ball would be the next one safe. Even with the whole Penn drama, I don't think he'd garner that much hate. And then TV as well. Even if he did kind of cause Robot Flower to crash out and blow up the robot fish thing, I think that people would kind of like him for that a bit more since he really did anything in BFB. So seeing him actually develop a personality I think that people would rather see that than just nothing. So he's safe. Now we're down to the dreaded bottom 3. Golf Ball is here mainly because of her bossiness, and it especially shown through this episode. She was kind of annoying actually. Then Puffball. Yeah, I think that considering how hard they dragged the Teapot 3 thing, I wouldn't doubt that she'd be here. And Fries is just kind of there receiving votes. Fries is the next one to save. This vote would be incredibly close, considering how both of these characters had a pretty stable fan base. But we do have to take into account how Golf Ball was incredibly popular, even with how bossy she was. So I'm sorry to Puffball, but she's definitely eliminated. The saddest part about this is that she didn't even have BFDI to shine, so she got 2 eliminations on episode 6. That's sad. So now for Teapot 6. I highly doubt anything would really change, as the team's strategies are still probably the same. However, there is a change on Death Pact again. When they try to revive the fish, I think that considering how Remote was kind of against the death preventing thing if they had to lose challenges in BFB, I think that she'd go against it and try to make everyone just not revive the fish and serve the fish dead. That would make Black Hole be a bit upset, and then Remote just kind of rebels and runs away with the fish dish, and they just give it to 2. I think that it would be kind of a, 6 out of 10. And yeah, that doesn't really change much. Just doesn't really serve anything because they don't have anything. They probably Pillow just kills someone I don't know, Book, and serves it to 2. And yeah, so the S and just not are still up for elimination. Let's begin with the S because 2 absolutely despise their dish. I think that Ice Cube could actually be the first one safe, since the haters that she had were mostly because she still used recycled lines. So now that she's actually talking, pretty much all her haters would disappear. Cloudy and Bottle would also be safe. They don't have really any hate bases either, so they're pretty cool. So now we're down to the bottom 3. Winner is here because, well, they were a bit boring these past few episodes. And yeah. Yellowface is here because he's a non-object, and people don't like that. People may also start to find him a bit annoying. And Rocky is here because he practically made his entire team lose the challenge by barfing on the cereal. But yeah, winner is obviously safe. And now it's down to Yellowface and Rocky. Yeah, it's probably not even close. Rocky is out. Sorry, Rocky fans, but he was pretty much doomed from the start. For Just Not's elimination, I think it will be just a bit easier. And I think that Bommy is definitely the first one safe, since he did heal the dragon. And he doesn't really have any haters either, as of now. Price Tag, then Book would also probably be safe, as they're pretty liked characters, and even though they may seem a bit boring, they're definitely not receiving many votes. Now we're down to the bottom 3. Pillow, Nickel, and Naylee. Pillow is here because of her murderers, and Nickel is here mainly because, I don't know, the others are just more popular than him, and Naylee has probably just been annoying these past few episodes. And yeah, Nickel is definitely safe. Now it's down to Pillow and Naylee. I think that this would be quite close, but in the end, I think that Naylee would be out. This episode, Pillow was much funner compared to the other ones, and Naylee, along the entire show, would probably just be an annoying little brat, just making jokes that don't land, and just not having a personality, and that would just build up to her getting eliminated pretty soon as well. Since Lightning wasn't eliminated, I kinda don't know what to do. So I think that we're just going to keep the same challenge. So for the changes, the S still loses because they don't fix the moon. And Are You Okay? Golf Ball just finds a weird thing to fix it. And Just Not manages to fix the roller coaster, probably because of Price Tag's idea. However, the main thing is on Death Pact. Remote, well, when they have to fix the oven, Remote goes against it. Even if she's probably not going to be eliminated, she doesn't want to lose this challenge. And she calls Pillow, and if you remember TPOT 2, Remote kind of went around Pillow to see if she didn't kill anything. So Remote now calls Pillow remembers it, and they become friends. Pillow kills Tree, and Death Pact again wins the challenge. And yeah, Remote and Pillow become friends. So the strongest team on Earth would probably lose yet again, because they probably were not going to use Yo-Yo Snowball to fix the roof, and since Robot Flower isn't here to kill all the filled up users and put them on the roof, then they have nothing to fix. So, yeah, let's begin. So, let's begin with the strongest team on Earth. Grassy then Snowball are pretty obviously safe. As for now, they're pretty popular characters and they've got big fan bases, so they're obviously saved. This leaves it down to the bottom two. Belle is here because she's pretty boring and some people may find her annoying. And Basketball is here because, well, she doesn't. Well, she is a bit. Well, she has a lot of potential. She's a bit boring. And it's quite obvious that Belle is eliminated by a mile. People want to see more of Basketball. Belle just doesn't have anything to do, so yeah, bye. For the S, it's gonna be just a tad bit harder, but Cloudy, Ice Cube, and Bottle are definitely the first one safe because they're liked generally. So yeah. So now it's down to the bottom two. Winners here just because I think that they would tend to receive more votes than their other members. And Yellowface is here because he practically made his entire team lose the challenge, and he's a non-object. And yeah, winner is safe, obviously. Yellowface was never even that liked. So, compared to the. And so, adding the fact that he made his team lose, he's obviously eliminated. For the challenge, I doubt there's any differences. After all, the contestants that are still here are pretty similar to the ones that were originally in the episode. I think that the only change here would be that since Remote is here, that she would use Fanny as a blade to kill Donut and Pin when they try to attack them. And meaning that teammates would be the first team of elimination, and then it would be Are You Okay? So, yeah, that's it. This elimination is definitely going to be difficult. Either way, Queenie and Needle are definitely the first one to save, as they're pretty popular and don't have any haters as of now. Gady is definitely safe as well. The fact, like, seriously, I've never seen Gady haters, so yeah, she's definitely safe. Now it's down to the bottom three. Donut is here because he may be seen as boring, and he really was. And probably people don't really care much about him. Pin is here because of just overall being rude sometimes. And Barfbag is here because she's just boring. And yeah, Barfbag is definitely safe, especially in this episode because about the teardrop thing. So yeah, Barfbag is safe. And now it's down to the bottom two. This may be a bit controversial, but I think that Pin would eventually be safe. And Donut would be eliminated, mostly because of BFDIA and the fact that Pin became nicer after, the whole thing. So yeah, Donut's out. Now for Are You Okay? I think that Tennis Ball and Pen are definitely the first one safe. Most of Tennis Ball's dislikes came from the Teapot 5 scene, and since people have already kind of forgiven him for that, and BFDIA has started airing, he'd be the first one safe, and then Pen is just really liked, so he's obviously safe. TV is also definitely safe. While he may not have contributed that much to the team, he's still pretty well liked as of now, so he's safe. This leaves it down to the bottom three. Golf Ball, Eraser, and Fries. Golf Ball is here mainly due to her bossiness, and since Puffball has gotten out, she's probably not calmed down a lot. Eraser is here because of being boring, and Fries is here because he most likely didn't do anything. But maybe I think that he could have had a talk with Golf Ball about this entire thing and she would have become tamer. Anyway, Eraser is safe, obviously. And yeah, it's pretty obvious that Fries is out as well. Golf Ball was and still is one of the most popular characters here, so she's definitely safe. For Teapot 9, I highly doubt anything changes. Sure, Cloudy may not want to use his collection so that his team stays in, but I think with enough persuasion from Winner, he'd eventually let them. They just cook the steaks and they save everyone. So, yeah, just not as still up for elimination. And Teardrop died. So, Bommy would definitely be the first one safe because of the blowing up thing. Price Tag and Book aren't really hated either, so they'd be safe as well. Now it's down to the bottom two. Nickel is here just because he's boring, and Pillow because of just she was already pretty controversial, and the fact that she went on a complete rampage this episode only added to that, and it's pretty obvious that Pillow is 100% eliminated. It's not even close. Considering how ever since that rampage, her fan base has never recovered and she's still one of the most hated characters of the series, I highly doubt she survives. I highly doubt much will change for the dreams. Well, instead of Fanny and Black Hole Dream, it's Remote, and they still have the same talk, and they become friends again. And the only difference is that the strongest team on Earth actually survives, because I think getting out of, like, any of their members' nightmares is much easier than escaping Robot Flower. So, Teammates is also up for elimination, along with Just Not, because of the barf bag thing that they all died, and they were also the last team safe there. So, yeah, they're up. To begin with, Just Not, Book and Price Tag are obviously safe, as they had a good amount of screen time this episode. This leaves it down to the bottom two. Bommy is here because he didn't really do anything this episode and is often seen as boring, and Nickel because he can be quite annoying sometimes, and yeah, obviously Nickel's out. Bommy at least had last episode to shine. Nickel was never really in the spotlight and was always not very liked, so yeah. For teammates, Gady, Needle, and Coiny are obviously safe, and it leaves it down to Pin and Barf Bag. While Pin might just be a bit weird and sometimes annoying to people, Barf Bag did cause the entire outbreak and is often seen as boring. So even if this is a very narrow gap in between votes, I think that Barf Bag's out. Furthermore, BFDIA had already started, and people I think would kind of want to see a bit more of Pin and how she led up to being like this in TPOT. So, this kind of marks the end. We'll just do the team swap, and then on the next part, we'll continue. The funny thing is that every other team has its members complete except for Cloudier. So I just gave everyone else to Cloudier and Remote to Death Pact again, because I think that she'd fit considering how she had this entire thing with Black Hole. So, yeah, that's it. See you on the next part. Bye, guys.